Volume knob on that amp there. Hi, everybody. What?
I said, why is it so long? That's not a good thing to say, is it? This one?
Yeah. All right. I'm standing far away from Dan because I'm wearing a mask because I was in New York. And also he goes to New York. So look, he's going to wear the thing too. So we're going to be like bandits. And what we're trying to do is figure out why the fuck my backup generator won't charge any of my UPSs. Well, actually, that's not true. It kind of charges the one for the main TV with the waifus. The waifu TV somehow has the luck of, hi, baby. Not you, her. Hi, baby. Dan's here. Go say hi, Dan. These girls are on that power plug, which that's generator powered, and this is the UPS. And it's a CyberPower 1350, and it's the newest one I bought. It's the newest one I got from Amazon, and it just doesn't care that there's no power. It just runs. It runs on the generator. Meanwhile, the other CyberPower that I have under my desk here, we're taking walks now. I'll put some more lights on because we're gonna be in darkness when we black out the house. The other CyberPower I have under my desk down there for my gaming machine, which I just turned off, just doesn't give a shit. It's like, oh no. Even if I get an extension cord and plug it into a running thing, it just dies. And the worst problem is the big APC that I unbox on this channel that I love will run my NAS, my projector, the little computer for it, and whatever amplifiers. But if I plug it into even if I set it, because that's the only one I have that has the actual menu to go in through it and say, I think it's great, good quality power, fair, poor, and then like abysmal or whatever the lowest setting is. I think I have it set to the lowest possible setting of like power quality, and it still doesn't charge. It's still like, just keeps going, nope. It tries, but like every 5 seconds charging and then every 5 seconds off, it can't handle it and just dies. So I had to restart my NAS twice. So Dan brought $8,000, what was it? How much was this thing?
Between 6 and 8, depending on where you look.
Between 6 and 8, what's it called?
It's a Fluke 1735 power logger.
Pasta, link a Fluke 1735 power logger.
Yeah, I'm sure that's...
It's got to be on Amazon. It's got to be on there. Got another analysis machine. We got the oscilloscope. I bought that probe that I unboxed in this channel.
You can tell the power company to get lost because they're only providing you 59.94.
Motherfucker. Chewbacca, what are you doing? You gonna eat something? Somebody? Want some roast beef?
You've got 2.7% total harmonic distortion.
Dude, I know what that means.
You do know what that means. Probably the one term I'm
That's audio. That's terrible in audiophile terms.
But for 60 hertz power grid stuff, it's not terrible.
I don't know. I don't know that. You don't. Do you know that? Have you? How many places have you plugged?
I guarantee you, it's going to be a lot worse when it's on your generator.
She likes that box. Specifically that box. It's her box now.
Current probes are good for 3,000 amps.
Good. Wrap one around my dick. Okay. So basically, this is just taking a baseline of my house power. We're using the outlet here, which you guys probably notice all the time, next to my garbage pail where the cat's water dish is usually plugged into, because it's like the most centralized outlet in the fucking house. It's like boom, there, boom. So...
Is that generated or no?
I don't think it's generated. No, actually I don't think there's any outlets in the kitchen that are generated. The outlets that are generated is either the one in the... We could actually measure the one in the middle of the floor, since that seems to run the TV, or these two, because there's the GFCI there, which is for my bathroom. Because that GFCI, and I popped this once, and I couldn't figure out why my bathroom lights wouldn't turn on. It blew my mind. Thank God I noticed a little green light like a week before. So that's a GFCI outlet, specifically for the lights in my bathroom. Ta-da! So these are all these lights, and not this outlet, because that's another GFCI, which you would think that this GFCI would control the things, but no, not that GFCI. The one out here, that one controls the bathroom light, so that has power, and then for some reason this one has power. I don't know why, because the bedroom doesn't have power when the generator's on. My nice certificate of appreciations, me as a baby. Face reveal, hashtag face reveal, hashtag set as your avatar and be creepy.com. What else? Oh, and that room has power when we black out. the actual sunroom, all the outlets work. I don't know why, but they do.
I want to get a voltage and waveform kind of reading. Eventually, I would like to connect to the generator wires with the current probe to see if maybe the problem is that all of your UPSs are on the same phase, and so it's completely imbalanced.
Don't know what you just said, but I agree. We should absolutely do what you said with words.
UPSs are very unstable loads because everything connected to them is usually a switching power supply. And if they all happen to be on the right breakers, they could all be drawing half the generator.
That sucks.
Freak out.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Will we figure that out today?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, we're gonna get to it. Anything we're doing right this second, or gonna shut this off?
We're gonna move the whole setup to an outlet that's on the generator, and then turn the generator on.
I agree, Chewbacca. Let's go do that. Don't touch that. We're gonna die. Gotcha. Okay, so the waveform looks. How does that look? Can you see here? Tell me if I'm pointing at it with the camera.
Yeah, you're pointing at it.
Is it good?
There's a little band in the middle of the screen, but
that's fine. Okay, so it looks like a waveform. Do any of these things matter? Like the negative, any numbers we should know? 3916, 59.95. I know the hertz is gonna be fucking weird because I watch it go up and down on my UPS. So this outlet here, and probably the one in the corner back there.
Numbers 2.9% THD, 108.
Hey, wait, I'll take a picture. Because I feel like taking a picture is the only way we're gonna remember any of this shit.
And you got first order harmonic right
back
there,
up.
and that's
Back
it,
up.
basically. I guarantee that's gonna look a lot worse.
Well, what we're gonna do, and what we're gonna do is basically just throw the main circuit breaker, which I've never done. It kind of feels like that scene in Jurassic Park when they have to reset the system, so they have to kill it, and then they turn it back on and nothing happens. That's my biggest fear.
I mean, if nothing happens, that's good because we just found a critical safety flaw with your house.
I guess. I mean, well, we could open this window so we know exactly when the generator kicks on, as it'll fill it with diesel smoke. True. But for camera, we need to have the generator's right there. I've shut off.
Why is that 4 breakers?
200 amps. It should be 200 amps.
Yeah, but why is it 4 instead?
Just pray. If you blow up, I gotta call somebody. Have my phone? I do. Do it. Four 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000. Eight seconds to start cranking, 2 seconds to start. Transfer switch goes click. Lights flicker like a motherfucker. I'm gonna close this window because this will kill you. Like if you wanted to die, just run the generator and open that window. Whatever, propane, diesel. So basement lights is one of the guaranteed things that runs. Ugh. That is ugly. That looks oh god, it's so unstable.
Yeah. Ooh, that's not good.
Change button. Make next one go. Next.
I just want to see how much the frequency wanders. Ooh, 61 there for a second. Total harmonic distortion of 16 point.
Ooh, 16% instead of 2.
They're not even drawing that much load. How do UPSs do it?
What do you mean? Are they on, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, this one obviously switched over. It's doing fine.
Oh wait, that's right. You're not able to power the UPSs as well.
I mean, I can flip I can go get the extension cord.
Work, that's kind of established.
You know, that one's currently buzzing away, running the NAS and the little baby computer, and apparently all these DACs and that Bluetooth speaker and that mini DSP. Also, that one's running my fucking chest freezer. What was that? That's you? No. Then that was the smoke detector here. Ha! Which has got a 9-volt battery in it, but is also wired. Why did you beep? Why are you hanging out of the ceiling? Have you always been hanging out of the ceiling? This is good. You gotta stress test your house. Wow, the lights are really flickering. On battery. Outlet off. 0 volts input, 120 volts, 60 hertz output. Yeah. Are you also running? You're also running off of the UPS. Yeah, because I could kill this. I don't need DAX running on it. I just need my laptop to stay running. And then you're currently running, but I don't think that LED works. So let's hope that this doesn't kick on. I did a whole thing where I rearranged. See, that still has power. That's coming directly from that big UPS feeding this little cluster, which feeds the chest freezer, and then the extension cords that feed my equipment rack. Not that I care that I can do reviews in the basement in the dark, but I can. But actually, if I turn this on, does this draw? Yeah, that is running off the that's running off the UPS. There is no generator down here, except for over there, which he's got plugged into. When I do the electrical down here, which I may or may not film, depending on if you people are interested, we're gonna put a sub box there because there's no outlets in this fucking basement except for there. One there that's running off the lights, and that one, which is, I think, also running off the lights for the actual thing. And then I have an alarm panel and a vacuum box here, and neither one of those is on backup generator, which is still chugging away. So does it log it? Like, we got a log of
I can turn the logging on, but it's not gonna really help us with this fast of a problem.
No. No.
It's going way too fast.
You think?
It's right now, it's settled between 63 and 65 hertz.
Oh, that's probably freaking the shit out.
Yeah, I imagine UPSs don't like it very much.
No, they don't. But I still have the internet right now. If I check, I'm still got Wi-Fi going. Yeah, these LED.
Bad. The lights are a very good indicator of how bad it is.
Well, these are the smart LEDs, so they're probably a little bit more sensitive than the ones back there. Like, the ones back there are pretty fucking steady. Yeah, no, I've got full Wi-Fi. Yay. I'm having full Wi-Fi in a blackout.
I guess there's no reason to keep doing this.
Yeah, we really just... You wanted to check the generator directly, right? But we could start that directly.
Well, I mean, honestly, I've gotten a lot of my answers, and I realize I can check the other phasing by just looking at the breakers.
Oh, there you go.
So I guess
Flip us on.
Ready?
Go ahead. Okay, the amps come back on. The DACs are now off. That's how I know I've had a blackout. The fireplace will just come on.
And I guess that'll pop at some point.
It will. It'll only take maybe another 15, 20 seconds. Oh, okay, it'll happen now.
I hate standing next to transfer switches.
That's a little baby transfer switch. He says he's...
The ones that work are like the size of this piece of plywood, and it sounds very unsteady.
Yeah, it doesn't sound... And I was noticing with the more load I put on it, the more lights I turned on upstairs, the more steady it was.
Makes sense, but even at this, for a home generator, they should run steady even with no load.
It probably needs to be serviced, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt probably just to call the generator company and be like, hey, you know, this thing's probably been neglected for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I had to change the battery and now it works, but it's like...
I mean, who knows how old the oil is in it.
I mean, we pulled the dipstick out. It was clean. It was just, you know...
Or the throttle servo, or the brushes on the generator.
All those words. It stinks. Oh, God. I was going to wait for it to shut off, but that is just... Oof. That is oof. Okay, so... she just shut off. I'm going to set my DAX on. Hold on. So one negative about using JDS Labs EL DAX down here, they don't return to a power state. They just are off. So I have to go down there and hit them twice to get them to coaxial digital. And now the front end will work. And this fireplace, which is not generating heat, it's just a roller and LEDs, will also turn on. Every time I used to come back for, like, if I was in my family's with my family in New York and I'd come back to my apartment and see that on, I know I had a blackout.
It's like I could just walk in to see my microwave. It says PF.
Oh yeah, my microwave and stove are now completely fucked. Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
ITman496 at youtube.com/ what is it? Your YouTube channel. Oh, there you go. Okay, so are we done for it right now? For here?
For now, yeah. Now we talk
Well, we could talk on camera, or we could just talk not on camera. Probably better to talk on camera because people are concerned and confused.
I mean, don't take my words as like the de facto.
They're de facto. Go ahead. You got to be confident.
I work with generators a lot, but I'm not a generator service person.
That's fine. You're better than me. I just keep hitting with the rocks, and nothing gets better.
Well, yours, I believe, is the computer brain boxy thing watches the AC output from the generator, and that's how it determines RPM.
Uh-huh.
That either works or it doesn't. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. It's not like a sensor going bad or anything because...
No, this is hardware. This is it spinning. This is something... It may have been like this new. This might be the best it's ever been. It may run perfectly like it's intended. Does it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, even my portable generator for this year isn't that bad. And that's, you know...
It needs a servicing.
No electronics in it.
Call for a servicing. Gotcha.
So the way it works is the computer watches the AC output, determines how fast it's spinning from that, and you know it's working because it would have shut itself off immediately because it would detect...
The AC outlet from the house is going out to the generator, probably trickle charging the battery, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then it just, all right, I don't have power anymore. Wait 8 seconds. Fucking kick on.
Yep.
And that's it.
Well, sometimes they send a start signal from the control box over here, but this transfer switch seems pretty stupid. There's no screen on it, because a lot of the ones at the shelters, for the radio shelters, the brain is not in the generator, it's in...
Yeah, the generator is literally, it's got so little...
There's brain in the generator too, but it's just for running the generator. It doesn't actually...
Well, I think mine is pretty much that stupid too, because it's literally like, if you want to set the test date, you literally have to go there the day of the week you want it to test. You can't set it to every other week. You can't set it like, oh, just do this at 3 o'clock. Like, whatever date and time it is, you hold a button down, and that's it. That's when it does it every week.
Like that? Because they wanted to save the cost of putting 2 buttons on it.
Probably.
That's literally why. Because it has an LCD. They could have easily...
Does it have an LCD out there?
I'm pretty sure...
No, it's got LEDs. It's got a row of LEDs. There's no LCD out there. That ain't that fucking fancy, man. It's only a Generac. But yeah, no, it's dumb as hell. Like, I would love if it tested every 10 days.
Like that, they'll just watch for...
We're gonna put this down. You're gonna have a discussion with the camera. Sit down and pretend you just robbed a bank. I hate this wire. There you go. Tell them, Dan. Here's a lemon. Hold the lemon while you're doing it. Tell me about my generator's a lemon.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by your cat.
She's super cute. You want to hold the cat while you're telling I tell the people, and then I'll hand you the cat.
So the main why shouldn't you be pointing at both of us?
No, I don't go on camera. You know that.
Oh, that's right, you don't.
You're the man who's smart. I'm the man who got a cat. I'll walk by in the background and
yeah,
it'll be like...
I guess I can't say that anymore, can I? Anyway, talking to my friend who uses talking to my friend who's a UPS technician, he says the main thing that UPSs don't like is the frequency wandering all over the place.
Rub her neck or she'll jump out of your arms. Which our mine was definitely doing. Like, it was, you're talking about the the 60 hertz.
Yeah, like they really got to stay bang on 60 hertz because that's what it's supposed to be.
I had the idea. I didn't check it.
Yours was wandering back and forth between 63 and 65.
Would a power conditioner?
No.
That doesn't fix that.
Power conditioners do not change frequencies.
Would there be any piece of hardware that would do that?
Yeah, a different generator.
That's not what I was asking. that is a good point. Remember, look at them. Don't look at me. That's where the people who give a shit about are. They live in the hole. So you're saying call a tech. Be like, look.
Something in your regulation loop in the generator is.
Because if it's like a $500 fix, I'm okay with that. Because the thing has probably been servicing forever.
Well,
There's no service like log on it.
It can see its frequency because it ran.
Yeah.
Because if the sensor that determines what RPM it's spinning was broken, then the starter motor would never turn off. I've seen videos where that happens. It just sits there cranking, and then the starter motor blows up because it doesn't turn off, and then...
So wait, the actual frequency is being determined by the rotation of the generator?
Yeah, the computer in the generator watches the AC output of the generator head, and that's how it determines how fast it's spinning, because it's directly correlated. The waveform it puts out, that you saw in the scope is the RPM of the generator.
Wow, I did not know that. I didn't realize it was so, I guess, dumb.
Well, it's cheap. You know, it has to produce power, so
it just the hertz rating. So what's the RPM of the generator then?
3600.
It just has to be at 3600.
Yep. It's not an inverter generator like those little Hondas, so it has to spin at 60 hertz the whole time.
And it's just not. So definitely, it's a mechanical problem.
So yours is, yeah, so something in the loop, either the throttle servo or something is not happy, and it's sticking a little high, or...
It needs to be serviced. I gotta call up Generac, because it's a Generac generator, which is a good brand.
And it's only 12 years, well, it's okay, but it's only 12 years old, so it should still be, you know...
I mean, it works.
It's not like it's the, you know, the Cummins generators that some of the sites that I work with have that are rounded and like look like a 50s fridge, and you can still somehow get parts for them that they cost 10 times more than they should.
Nice. I think we should have one of those. All right, I'll ask them about the generator, and if they're like, well, you're really not going to get it unless you go with a pure sine wave, what does that change? Is that just a big fucking hunk of computer and capacitors that deal with that?
So the reason that your generator puts out such a terrible waveform is because it's cheap. It's a brushed alternator generator head thing.
I'm Italian. Never tell me something I have is cheap.
It's less expensive than it could be.
Everything is less expensive than it could be.
Yeah. So like the big military diesel generators, like the one I'm trying to get, they have a big brushless, you know, super heavy duty head, and they put out beautifully clean sine waves. These, they actually, and they have like...
Where are you trying to get one of those, and can I have one?
Well, you don't want to have to maintain a diesel generator.
No, I have propane, which is much better.
Yeah,
Are you saying you're a psychopath?
No, I don't have propane. So propane's the most expensive fuel. Running a generator on propane is the worst, unless you already have a bunch of propane everywhere.
I mean, how is it the worst? Isn't it the cleanest? Doesn't it burn cooler?
Oh, it's the cleanest. It's the most longest lasting. It requires the least maintenance, but it's also incredibly expensive.
I mean,
if your generator runs like for 4 or 5, if you Hurricane Sandy'd and your generator has to run for like a week straight, you're gonna feel
when I had the 30 inches of snow coming, I was like, "Can you come today?" And they're like, "How about Friday?" I'm like, "We'll be dead by Friday."
Yeah. So here's the problem with propane generators. Like as I said, they're very expensive to run because you're using half your fuel consumption always on a generator just to. You want to get out, or you just?
No, she's just kicking you in the face. It's fine.
They're basically going to consume half their fuel load even if they're at idle. Because that's just how generators are. Because they have to spin so fast. The diesel ones are nice because they have 4-pole generator heads, which means they only spin 1800 RPM, so they're fuel efficient. And it's much less wear and tear on the engine. But
so why couldn't a propane one run at 1800?
Not enough torque on the small little engines.
So it would need a bigger propane engine.
Well,
to run it less, but then it would just draw more because it's a bigger engine.
Yeah. Whereas diesels like to go slow and have lots of torque. So
true.
But
do they gear up the diesels?
No, they wire the generator head to have twice as many poles, so it only has to spin half as fast to generate the same waveform.
All this sounds lame, and I hate it, but I love it.
And the other thing,
I'm still best bet. I don't want to be going out with a diesel can to fill it up.
No.
I got a 1,000-gallon propane tank. Let it run.
I would not recommend switching, but yeah, the propanes suck because of that. Because like they're very expensive to run and they tend to be small. And there was another point I was getting to, but I don't remember what it was now.
What did we cut off in the basement? Because the battery died, by the way, everyone. Sorry. What were we talking about? You were in the middle of. We can't review the video. Something about how the transfer switch works, which was cool.
Oh yeah, so they're self-powered. So if you feed power into the grid side, it just stays happy on the grid side. And because does yours transfer over when it exercises, or does it just run the generator and that's
I think it just runs the generator. Nothing blinks. It doesn't.
Yeah. So with the shelters at work, they do actually transfer the whole shelter.
They test with load.
Yeah, because you want to load the generator down to actually exercise it. Because
I don't know. Is the transfer switch fast enough that if it wanted to switch over, it wouldn't kill my battery? Oh, speaking of that, I gotta set my fucking clocks.
You want to get up, or are you just throwing into yourself?
She's cat. She does whatever she wants. Press clock. Press clock. Clear.
So
yeah, go on.
Transfer switches can be fast enough, but they have to be very complicated. Like the ones at work, to do that click over fast enough, you actually watch them switch. they monitor both inputs, and they wait for the phases to synchronize, and then they slam the switch over in like 10 milliseconds.
Phone call from a home, so we'll be back. Tell me how to do cooking videos. Stop thinking if you're ready. You're ready. Hit the button. And force yourself to be ready. You're ready, Dan.
So what I was saying before is the main difference between the big diesel generators and the little propane ones like here is the diesel ones are meant to be primary power, which means that's your only power source. You're a forward military base, and this thing's humming along in the background.
The military generator you want is literally like, that's it. You're in Afghanistan.
That thing, you know, sometimes they sell those with thousands and thousands of hours on them because they just sat there running.
The secret is add more cheese to the breadcrumbs.
Well, cheese makes everything better, so.
We're gonna add more cheese, more salt, and more Italian seasonings. But keep going. So okay, so you were trying to, if you were selling me a diesel generator, your argument is it's designed to run all the time and give you great power.
Yeah, so the other thing is they use brushless alternator heads instead of brushed alternator heads. They spin slower, but the difference between the brushed and the brushless alternator heads is, which leads you down a big rabbit hole, but we got plenty of time, so let's go down that rabbit hole.
Quickly, summarize it for me. Explain like I'm 5.
Okay, so they regulate frequency obviously by speed. You know, you spin at either 1800 or 3600 RPM, and that's how you get your 60 hertz if it's a 4-pole or a 2-pole generator. And the poles are just every time it completes. So there's a difference between RPM and ERPM.
Look at them, not me. Or hold that where I am. Whatever helps you. I'm trying to train Dan into being a what would you be, a vlogger?
I don't know.
Content creator?
Yeah, sure.
Hold it up, hold it like literally in front of my face.
An e-celeb. No, that's terrible.
You want to be a Kardashian. It's alright.
So I just gotta aim this camera up my butt and then I'll be good.
You gotta work on your glutes.
Didn't the Kardashians also like commit a hit and run murder or something?
See, now we're getting people interested. Pasta's watching probably. Need a carrot now.
I'm pretty sure that happened. Or was that? No, that was the Jenners.
Dude, what I like to do with my videos, completely get lost and distracted. People get bored of the same content. Try that fucking dip. It's so good. See if you can do this with one hand. That's Southwestern Ranch.
That's good.
It tastes like New Mexico. I've never even been to New Mexico. You can leave the mask off if you stay far enough away. Because I'm going to do the same. Just don't come near me. No mouth kissing. Well, what were we talking about?
Nerd shit.
Keep talking about nerd shit. Nerd shit's good. And Southwestern dip is great.
It is. So there's a difference between RPM and ERPM, and anybody who's tried to program an electric skateboard speed controller will know what that means.
I'm sure it's hundreds of people.
Well, basically, 1 RPM of a rotor is obviously 360 degrees.
Yeah.
But 1 ERPM is just how often the output wires will put out or take in a complete cycle of a sine wave. And if you have a multiple pole motor, like some of the multi-rotor drone motors will have 22 and 24 poles, that means it'll take...
Camera up. Put it right in front of my eyes. You'll
it might...
get used to it. You either talk to them or talk to me. I don't exist. They exist. There's hundreds of them. There's only one of me.
So basically, on those high pole count motors, so on a 2-pole motor, every spin you do is a spin of ERPM. So you get, 1 sine wave per 1 rotation. A 4-pole, you get 2 sine waves per rotation.
So what's my generator?
Yours is a 2-pole because it spins fast.
So 3600 RPM.
If you with a 4-pole generator, you need twice as much torque at half the RPM.
Oh, so the actual number of poles affects the...
Yeah, so that's why high pole count torque, that's why if you want a direct drive drone motor on the propellers that are really big propellers that spin slow, you need high pole counts because you get more torque, less RPM.
These are thin. I didn't realize they were so thin. It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm making chicken cutlets over running the internet.
So the higher the pole count, the slower it spins for the same. So think about it. If you have a sine wave if you have a 2-pole, 1 sine wave per 1 rotation, you put 1 sine wave cycle through it, you get 1 rotation of the motor. But if you have a 4-pole, you have to put 2 sine waves through it in order to get a full rotation of the motor. So it's like it geared in half. So think of poles as like electrical gearing.
Wait, but isn't it harder to keep consistency at lower RPMs?
Not when you have a massive diesel engine with a massive flywheel and tons of torque and...
I mean, I guess as long as it's not like keep it at 60 RPM and then, so yeah.
Well, the thing is with the diesel engines is they respond very fast because they don't have a throttle plate. They're just injectors. You know, the thing's got full air all the time. So as fast as the injector can respond, it'll instantly produce that much more torque. So unless it's a turbo diesel, that's a different story. But those engines are so massive that they just have enough inertia to buffer.
What about Wankel rotary generators? Go!
That is a terrible idea.
I don't want to hear that shit, man. People in Japan would eat that up.
Yeah, and it would eat all their fuel up.
Fast and the Furious generator edition. That would be amazing. I'd watch that.
Well, you'd need to gear the generator down a lot, which immediately introduces problems because you don't want to have a transmission in your generator.
I suppose.
Basically, the problem is the faster your generator has to spin, the less efficient it is, the faster everything's wearing out, and the most important thing for a generator
is longevity.
Is longevity and efficiency. And rotaries are not famous for either of those things.
You're changing the seals every season. Well, yeah, I mean...
And I don't think they're usually known as subtle and quiet either.
Is my generator a single?
It might be a 2-cylinder, but it's usually a single cylinder. For 5 years, it's like 7 kilowatts, I think.
I don't think it had says. I don't think we were even...
Well, it's only got a 30 amp breaker on it, so it can't be more than like 6,000 or 7,000. Because I have a 5500 and it has like a 30 amp breaker on it. But where did I go with this? Yeah, so more poles means you need more torque, but means more better. They only really do 2 and 4. They don't. You find ridiculous pole counts in motors, but you don't find them in generator heads. But all motors are generator heads if you try hard enough. But anyway, so that covers frequency. Now comes voltage regulation.
Hit me with this important information, bro.
This works exactly the same in car alternators. You have a field winding. And so if you had permanent magnets, then your voltage output is directly proportional to your RPM. And that's fine if you're an inverter generator. But you cannot change your RPM. So if, say you want to put out 120 volts or whatever, or 240, I guess, would be what you want for this. You would have to, and then you get a big load, you'd have to crank the RPM up in order to make more voltage to push more power out. But the problem is that if you do that, then you've messed your frequency up. So you have to do it a different way.
That's right. You would need, because the load, you know what I never understood, and you could probably explain it? How does increasing the load on a generator actually put more physical torque requirements on the motor? It's just because...
Well, it's harder to spin.
Why? Why is it harder to spin?
Because you're generating power.
But there's a mechanical limitation, isn't there? What is it magnetism? Is it the magnets are hard to bounce off each other?
So...
Remember, I'm dumb.
This is a very low level.
It's super low level. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Everyone I even know is 5 years old. That's my advice, by the way. Sorry, guys.
Well, what usually limits... See, now we're getting to the sort of like, I've just assumed that... Oh God, how do I explain that at a theoretical level? I might have to research that one a little bit.
I have to explain to people not to plug RCA cables into banana plug outputs.
You can do that?
People have sent me videos trying to do it. I'm like, oh.
Oh, I was going to say I didn't think they'd fit.
No, I was like, I can't fit these RCAs in for my speakers. And I'm like, I make the face. You can't see the face. But I'm like, oh God, how do I go down this level? Because there's people like, a baby wouldn't understand. And if they've never been audio ever, they just won't understand. So talk to the people who don't understand at all. Because I guarantee you they're watching.
Oh wait, no, I know how to answer this. When you put load on a generator,
yes,
you're pulling current from it.
Okay,
You're pulling amps.
Well, it's how a generator works in general is there's magnets going past coils.
Yeah, you're putting magnetism in motion past coils, which then drags the I don't know if it actually drags the electrons in the wire, but just for explanation's sake, it drags the electrons in the wire through the circuit and forces them from one side to the other, and that's how you produce your power.
I'm gonna have to mix 2 instant mashed potatoes. This is gonna be terrible.
But oh boy. But I'm sure my camera aiming is all over the place.
It's a super wide angle, it'll be fine.
Yeah. But when you start drawing a load from your generator, so when it's idle and you're not drawing anything, you're not pulling any amperage through the coils. Now, an electromagnet is when you push, it's not the volts going through the coils, it's the current going through the coils. All motors care about is current. Voltage exists purely as a mechanism to get current through the resistance.
This is why I didn't study electronics and circuitry, because I would just be like, oh!
Does that make sense though?
A little bit.
So say you have a small, okay, the water analogy always works.
There's a water analogy?
Water is a very good way to describe electricity. We're going very far out of the way.
I'm dumb. I'm dumb, and I hope my audience is like, wow, why is he explaining this? Because Zeos is dumb. Go.
Okay. So say, do you know at least the whole...
Like the thin hose, the big hose, slower.
Yeah.
You get the same amount of water.
Okay, so wattage is gallons per minute. But, oh no. Water, let me think, let me compare. Voltage is pressure.
Okay.
Amperage is flow. Okay. And then wattage is the two together, so that would mean...
That's just your hose, basically what hose you're buying.
Well...
The definition of what?
Well, watts is usually a combined power measurement, so I guess it would technically be how many gallons per hour you're flowing. But you know, let's just keep it basic. So why am I okay? Amperage.
You've never had to go to this level. It's literally second nature to you.
I'm just trying to remember how we wound up at this point.
Because I'm stupid. Where were we? We were talking about multiple fucking passes, and I'm like, what causes... My question was, what causes the actual load of the generator to require rotational torque?
Amperage... I'm just trying to figure out why I was explaining... Was I trying to explain amps or... I don't know.
I asked the question.
Oh, no, I was telling you... Okay.
I asked that question.
Voltage means nothing. Just make sure you keep that in your head.
Voltage means nothing. Gotcha. I've already forgotten it.
Well, that's why there's like a sort of... Volts and amps are interrelated with each other. Amperage is what does the actual work, because amperage is the actual electrons moving. The electrons don't actually technically move. Well, they do move, but not at the speed of light. They kind of conga line, as far as I understand. But
yes.
Basically, you have resistance, which is the hole or the hose.
The diameter of the hose.
The lower the resistance, the bigger the paths, the easier it is for lots of stuff to go through.
Big hose.
High resistance is like a straw, and a low resistance is like a fire hose.
Whale's cock versus a penguin's cock. Now they're understanding it.
Yeah.
They both have to come somewhere.
Yep.
So you got to keep people interested with the whale cock. Go
on. So voltage is pressure. So obviously you can take your garden hose and you can flow it out at low pressure and
it'll be fine.
It'll flow however much it flows. Or you can hook it to a pressure washer and flow that same amount of water.
Yeah.
But much faster through a much smaller opening.
Turn the camera so they get the wallpapers in the background, because that's important.
This means I just can't show it my friends anymore.
You totally can. You're at my house. This is my fault.
That's fair. So you need to... So if you think pressure is voltage, then in order to force the same amount of water through a smaller opening, you need to raise the voltage up.
Yes.
So when I say it's not the volts that kill you, it's the amps. Technically, yes, the amps across your heart is what kills you, but only because the voltage was there to push it through you, through the relative resistance. 9 volts
out of 1,000,000 amps, will that kill you?
No.
So there you go. They're all fucking lying to you. That whole fucking thing is lying.
Car battery. If you touch a car battery, that car batteries can dump hundreds, if not sometimes 1,000 amps. But there's not enough potential. There's not enough pressure. You can literally
lick a car battery, put it to your nipples, and it's like fine.
Like if when the pressure washer is off, and it still flows the water through it, but it's just like a little.
Goes super slow. It's like.
It's just like a tiny little bit of water. That's what happens when you have all the resistance and none of the voltage.
Corn or green beans? Because I'm only making one.
Corn.
It was gonna be corn.
Why do you even ask? So yeah, that garden hose is capable of feeding the pressure washer, which can then blast stuff off the side of the house. But without the voltage there added to it to push it through the tiny opening, you get nothing. So you can touch low voltage, high current sources all you want. It won't do anything to you because it doesn't have the ability to force its way through all of the resistance of your body.
Yeah, like a car battery.
Yeah.
Literally, everyone needs to stop with
if you put, like, this way, if you touch your car battery, nothing will happen. You put a wrench across the two terminals, something's going to happen. A lot of something is going to happen.
Because
don't do that. Don't do that.
Because human resistance is just different?
Yeah, our bodies have a lot of stuff in them that isn't metal. Now 120 volts is enough. I guess this is going to make the audio bad, isn't it?
No, actually it's going to hear you just fine. I've tested it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so voltage pushes amps through resistance.
I have cranberry sauce too. I have cranberry sauce.
Anyway, so to answer your question as to why the generator gets harder to turn as you start drawing load from it, when the generator is idle and you're not doing anything with it, there's no current flowing.
Yeah.
So an electromagnet is amps being pushed through wire.
So it is magnetism that's physically.
Electromagnetism is caused by amperage flowing along a conductor. Now, however you induce that amperage, it could be electricity, it could be magnets passing by, which is how eddy current breaks work. So magnets, you ever seen that thing where they drop a magnet through an aluminum pipe and it slows it down?
No, actually.
Yeah, so magnetism passing by metal generates electricity. And so you can take a non-magnetic material like aluminum or copper, where a magnet won't stick to it, and you drop a get a neodymium magnet and drop it through a copper pipe, it falls like this fast.
Really?
Yeah,
even though it's non-magnetic.
Because it's generating electricity as it passes by, and that generates a counteracting magnet, amperage that generates amperage inside the metal, which then generates an opposite magnetic force, which then pushes on the magnet.
That's weird.
So if you get an angle grinder and glue like a disc with 6 neodymium magnets on it, and then put it next to any metal that's conductive, you can make it glow because you're running a magnet across the surface of it and generating tremendous amounts of energy, and then that turns into heat.
This video and go do that. You have an extra angle grinder head.
I mean, you just go to Harbor Freight for $15 and get one. But that's how induction stoves work. They just use a coil to make the magnetism instead of an angle grinder.
But I mean, is it more efficient to spin magnets than it is to?
Well, solid state's always better.
True.
But anyway, so.
Yeah, but I feel like an angle grinder is like what, 300 watts?
It can be up to like 1,000.
All right.
I mean, look.
This is an induction. You heat up the same amount of metal.
Look at it this way. The induction's always going to be better. End of story.
Because I always wanted to have like a full fuck you, drop a water pot for boiling water into like another like slightly larger pot, but it's just an induction coil. Boil my water. But it would require like 440 triple phase, wouldn't it?
Whatever you just said. It would require a lot of power. Yes. Anyway, so as you start drawing power from the generator, you start to draw current through its coils.
Only gonna fit 3 in there.
Yes?
Yes.
And then that starts to generate a magnetic field because it's current flowing through coils.
Yes.
And then that causes it to resist against the magnets of the generator that are trying to force it anyway.
So it is electromagnets that are just...
Yeah, you're basically, as you draw more power from the generator, you're making electromagnets in the generator part, and then that resists the rotor that the engine is trying to spin.
Okay, that answered my question.
I could have just said that probably with 10 minutes less talking, but we're
yes,
fun on
but
that.
you know what? We touched on many topics. I mentioned the whale penis.
Yep.
You can't give away, man. You can't not give the people...
And a penguin.
The penguin... Well, no one's really interested in the penguin. Whales have penises?
Oh,
Echo.
yes. Oh, God.
Echo. Do whales have penises?
Yes, male whales. Dolphins and porpoises do
I like how they specify male whales. Like, oh, the female ones do as well, actually. Ooh.
Yes. Well, I mean, if you watch Interspecies Reviewers, which is that anime about, I don't believe I'm about to describe this on this channel. Hopefully they can't hear it too well. But it's like a fantasy world where there's like orcs and, you know, zombie queens and everything. But they're all living happily ever after, but there's brothels, so everyone wants to fuck the different species. And apparently, jackals, like one of those like dog cat, like hyenas girl hyenas have penises. So I didn't know that until I watched an anime where a girl hyena thing had a penis. So, you know, you learn something every day. Every day is new. Whenever you want to stop that, by the way, you hit the button on top, and then we.
Well, I'm not even done with my.
Well, go on. I'm just saying, if you need to just stop and run away, that's.
No, I don't care.
Good. That's the best attitude you could have on the internet.
I mean, I've been on the internet for long enough to not be bothered by that kind of stuff.
Well.
Anyway, so to regulate voltage. We got very sidetracked from that. That was like 10 minutes ago. I was trying to explain that. To regulate voltage, you can't change your speed, and you don't have permanent magnets because of this, because you need to regulate your voltage. So how do you do it? You get an electromagnet, and so you have your coils, your stator, I'm pretty sure.
See now.
No, stator's the one that spins.
See, a real channel on the YouTube would have all sorts of graphics on the screen, or a whiteboard, like you said.
Yeah, I need a whiteboard.
You need a whiteboard. But then you have to edit out, like you. Wait, there was an extra. I just found an extra piece of chicken. I totally forgot I had a piece of chicken in my thing. Keep in mind, I'm not editing this. No one edits. This is Z-Reviews. Editing is basically lying. It means you didn't know something or you changed your ideas. No, it's straight on. Do it. Most of the things I'm saying is opinion, though. So.
Yeah.
I know.
So the stator is the stationary thing. So I was right. So stator is where you're generating your electricity. That's what you connect to your house. Okay. Rotor is the one that spins. Now you can have a permanent magnet rotor, but that means you have to change your speed in order to adjust your voltage. The alternative is you use electromagnets in the rotor. And that means that you control your frequency by RPM, and you control your voltage, or your strength of your magnetic field, by how powerful is your electromagnet that you're spinning.
Okay. That makes that, all right. So basically the problem with my generator is it's spinning the generator
irregularly.
It's a physical rotational issue. Something that's controlling its spin is fucking it up to the point where she isn't working anymore.
Yeah, because your voltage is fine.
It's just off.
It's just your frequency is all over the place. And so the difference between a cheap generator and a good generator are that on the cheap ones, they use brushes to send the power. And, you know, brushes are noisy, and there's not much iron in those generators because they're meant to be cheap and light, and so they produce kind of really bad waveforms. Whereas the big Chongus ones, they have a lot of iron. They're very heavy. I mean, the 5 kilowatt, like the military version of your generator outside that produces the same amount of power weighs about 1,000 pounds.
Damn.
Whereas your generator probably weighs like 200 pounds. And you can get ones that are just like it that are portable and only weigh 100 pounds. Yours is just 200 because it has all the covering on it. They use a rotary transformer kind of thing to feed the energy to the center coil, so there's no contact. It just has a coil spinning next to another coil, and I don't know if they're all like this, but at least the ones I've looked at are like this. They have like a coil and another coil, and it couples like a transformer with an air gap, and then that's how it can get energy to the inside without touching it, which means it won't wear out. So the only things that can wear out in those are the bearings or the engine, but they tend to be diesels, which are obviously very good.
Switch modes right now. Now explain to people which generators they need to steal come the zombie apocalypse, because Those people are out there watching this right now.
Well, coming as zombie apocalypse, it's not going to be fun trying to get. I mean, diesel, you can at least get biodiesel, and you can make it out of like, you know, oils and stuff. But personally, if I were going to do an apocalypse, I would be hunting for solar panels and wind turbines and batteries.
Really?
Yeah, because
Well,
you know what happens
because you're only gonna get 5-6 years out of it, especially if you're cycling them constantly.
they last longer than you think, but at least if you lose your batteries, you still have power during the day.
I mean,
But
you gotta have
getting fuel. Well, the ultimate would be to find a river and have hydropower that spins 24/7.
That is true.
That's the ultimate. But solar and everything are nice because at least the sun gives you that energy for free during the day, and you don't have to build your own oil drilling operation and then learn how to refine oil in order to actually make it work properly.
Well, I always have the dreams about like, okay, here's what happens in the zombie apocalypse, and it's just like, who's gonna be the butcher? Where can I buy my steak? Where am I getting my milk? Pasteurized. No one's making
You are
that.
getting it.
Yeah, you'd have to have so many people, like, you got dentists. I'm thinking about dentists in the apocalypse. Do people know how many people died throughout history because they couldn't get their teeth fixed and they got infections in their teeth and they just died immediately?
I know, modern medical science has solved a lot of like, he died because he got a cut and then he got infected and then he died. And it's like, that's not a problem anymore.
It's not. It's gonna be a problem again.
But no, personally, I would hunt down a site that had electrical power. Like, I mean, not electrical power, hydro. Like a decent sized river always flowing.
I've got a tiny river here, but it's not like, I don't know, it doesn't have enough flow, I don't think, to like.
You
have to
need
dam it.
you either need a lot of flow or you need a lot of height change.
That's true. Those are the two options.
Because if you have like 40 or 50 feet of drop over your property, then you can get away with even just a tiny little stream. But if you don't have much drop, then you have to have a tremendous amount of flow. But it takes a surprisingly little amount of electricity to run modern conveniences.
Oh, I know. One of these. I'm gonna eat some broccoli now with this amazing.
I like to think I'd be pretty handy in an apocalypse.
Oh yeah, I'm coming to get you. Cutting your legs off though. I really can't run away.
Well, no, the trick is if you make all the good food all the time, then I won't want to run away.
Yeah, good luck. Where the fuck am I getting?
Well, I know we can get plenty of horse.
I don't know if I want to eat horse right now.
No. Anyway, diesel generator good, except you're going to be a slave to that generator for the rest of your life because it requires all kinds of maintenance and it's expensive, so you're going to want to do that maintenance, and it's a complicated piece of electromachinery, whereas the propane ones are just kind of like, you know... Oh, and diesel generators, the other problem with them is you have to keep them at least 50%. Well, they don't like to idle or run at light load because they'll do something called coking up, where they
Would you be benefited by running the generator into like to charge batteries and not running all the time? Running 12 hours, charge batteries and
such an inefficiency though. But
I mean, I don't know, man. You're using half as much. You're saying you use the same amount of diesel if you're running.
Yeah, but then you're putting the engine through so many thermal cycles, you're just gonna wear it out. Choose your poison. Do you wear out batteries or engine, or do you just use fuel? But the problem is if you run a diesel generator for a prolonged period at light load, it will build up carbon in it and then choke itself out.
Yes.
Or they'll build up liquid, like liquidy, goopy oil in the cylinders that won't burn off, and then you'll hydrolock it. That's an extreme case, though. But basically, the rule of diesel generators is you got to make sure that if you're going to run them a long time at light load, you got to run them up to full power for like an hour to heat them up and clear them out.
Really?
But if you maintain at least like 40% load or something like that, not a problem. You just need to get them up to temperature. You got to get the cylinder, combustion temperatures up, and the exhaust temperatures up.
I'm learning so much.
Whereas propane, it burns so clean, it doesn't matter. You burn that indoors.
This is your ankle. Because you're a smart guy. You know these things. But
I have
there's
no life.
focus.
I just watch YouTube all the time.
But there's no like.
I have a lot of stuff built up in
You
here.
gotta get the common man, and those people want to know about the zombie apocalypse. You could dedicate your channel. Don't even be a crazy doomsday prepper. Doomsday prepper with ITman.
I thought you said don't be a crazy doomsday prepper.
No, you aren't one, but you just tell them where to spend their money, what they need to learn, shape the world into a better place by steering idiots towards being smart. That's what I do. Sorry guys. There are people who have no idea what they're doing. I'm
Here's
like,
how to generate electricity when you don't have any. Here's what you need to steal from Home Depot before everyone else does. Well, I know, I actually really love... I wish I lived near a stream because I watched a lot of stuff about people building their own hydro turbines. They use like washing machine motors and stuff.
I've literally seen those videos.
Yeah, and they you know...
You got crazy height though on that one.
Yeah, I don't have the luxury of that at all, unfortunately. But and then there's the ram pump, which is cool.
What's that?
It's a pump that turns a lot of water flow into a little bit of high pressure water without any electronics or rotating parts at all. It's all completely mechanical.
Is it just a tube that goes a down step tube?
So basically the way it works is you have your head area, which is like the big, you know, the water coming in, and then you give it a big downslope ramp, and then basically you let it run and build up speed and momentum, and then you slam a valve closed, and then that water rams through a one-way valve into a pressure, you know, like your pressure tank for your well, like a diaphragm-backed air pressure thing. The water doesn't want to stop, obviously, because it's got a lot of momentum going down that 50, 60, 100-foot pipe. So it rams up into the tank, builds a little pressure in there, and then when that stops, the valve opens again, and then the water's free to start picking up speed again, and then it just keeps going boom, 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 and it just pumps water high pressure, and it can pump it much higher than the source water supply is at, like, you know, city water pressure.
How reliable can you make that?
Oh, it's incredibly reliable. They're very popular for like farmers and stuff in like the back country where they have no electricity out there that far. They can work for decades nonstop.
Dude, I want one of those.
They're just very inefficient. You use a lot of water to make a little bit of water, but if it's a stream, it's running down anyway, so who cares? But it's much better, if you don't need that much water, it's much better than having to deal with a generator with an electric pump and all that crap. If you don't need much water, if you're just trying to, you know, wire your farmhouse with
Buck,
water.
I've got turkey for you. You
Wire,
want some of this turkey?
plumb your house.
You bitch. Come here.
Now these are all things I want to build just for fun someday, but
I mean,
I don't have a stream, so it's kind of pointless.
You know what? I got plenty of property. There's a giant fucking hill on my property.
Is the water on top of it?
Put a fucking tarp down. Put a 100-foot wide tarp on it.
That's fair.
That
Anyway, diesel generator is good, expensive. Propane generator is good if you have... Natural gas is the best. If you have natural gas, forget all of this, just get a natural gas generator, because natural gas is the best.
Gas.
What?
You didn't even bring up natural gas.
Natural gas has all the benefits of propane, except it's cheap. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I finally remembered the other advantage. And you started to talk about it. The problem with propane generators is that they use a lot of propane to run, and getting enormous quantities of propane is painful at the best of times. And in a disaster situation where everyone wants propane, you're now fighting everybody for it, and there's only so many trucks, and the roads might be impassable and the trucks can't get to you. Whereas natural gas, unless you're like on the shore and you get hit by a tornado or a hurricane or whatever, the natural gas never really stops.
Yeah, but I mean, natural gas would stop. If society broke down...
Oh yeah, no. If society breaks down, that's different. But I'm talking about like for a regular person, what generator do I want? If you have natural gas, get natural gas. Don't even consider the other ones. It's not worth it. Natural gas is the cheapest, it's the most reliable, and it's unlimited. You can let it run the whole time, unless you're in Texas. But
natural gas, like cooler burning...
Natural gas, as far as I can tell, natural gas is just propane, but not. But it's basically the same thing.
Because I've heard always that propane burns hotter than natural gas.
It might, but they're so similar that you can usually run engines on both and they don't care.
Well, like my stove, one of the reasons my
Natural gas, I think, is a more complex molecule than propane is, but
Possibly.
they're so similar that I don't really differentiate
I
them.
know that my stove, when I put it on simmer, it doesn't get as low as a natural gas stove. And when I put it on boil, it doesn't get as hot. because they have to constrict it into like it can't possibly. They don't want to flow that much gas.
Oh yeah, propane's a lot more potent. 1 cubic foot of propane puts out 2,516 BTUs of heat, whereas 1 cubic foot of natural gas only puts out 1,030. So propane is more than twice the energy.
So that's why my stove.
So 2.5 times the energy.
That's why when I'm cooking on this, it's fucking weird.
But natural gas is so ridiculously cheap that it doesn't matter, and it's unlimited.
So the question is, I guess they don't pump propane through pipes because it wouldn't make sense.
Well, because
it's liquid. It's
you have to do a lot of refining, I think, to make propane. Whereas natural gas, you could basically use it straight out of the well, filter it a little bit, and then start giving it to people. That's why it's called natural gas.
Ooh.
Because like what they actually have to deal with natural gas at oil wells, because like natural gas builds up in the wells, and it's actually a problem. But that's just natural gas. It's right there, ready to use, except maybe with some filtering, but because it's got a lot of water vapor in it.
You want any more of this?
Yep.
I'm gonna here.
I'll have one more. I don't want to ruin my appetite eating vegetables.
They're so good though. First, I got vegetables. I take a picture of this. No one will believe I bought vegetables to consume. There's not even butter on them. If I was my phone, where would I be? Huh. I'm the worst. Alright, we're done talking about generators now.
Oh yeah, just real quick, one last thing. Gasoline generators are the worst.
I probably not.
If you're doing your doomsday prepping thing, don't use gasoline generators.
Yeah, but here's the thing, gasoline would probably still be the most, if cars have all stopped and everything, I feel like gasoline would probably be even more available than diesel.
Yeah, for a few months until it all goes bad.
True.
Gasoline, especially modern ethanol gasoline, sucks because after a couple of months it's basically gone bad and won't run anything nicely without knocking and destroying it. Diesel will last for years as long as it doesn't get algae growth. Propane and natural gas last forever, basically, as long as the containers don't rust apart. So, Daniel's or ITman's, whatever, top gear, top tip for ranking of fuel: gasoline bottom, but cheapest, followed by propane and natural gas. If you have natural gas, if we're talking about a doomsday rank, then natural gas and propane kind of are with gasoline. Diesel's the ultimate, because you can run any oil. You can run peanut oil in diesel, you can run whale oil.
Whale penis oil.
Any oil, fruit, vegetable oil, heating oil, diesel, whatever, kerosene. They'll all be careful with kerosene because it'll destroy the injection pumps, but for disaster situation, diesel is number 1. For regular people situation, diesel is number 2, natural gas is number 1, propane is number 3, and gasoline is get the fuck out of here.
The problem with diesel, we're talking about in a sustainable. The ultimate is to not run a generator and just run something off of nature, something solar, something.
The ultimate is to have a hydroelectric because the streams will never stop.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to maintain an infrastructure of batteries and solar panels and everything. You just keep your thing spinning and you keep getting electricity. That's how those remote villages get power, and it works for them. It'll work for you too.
So buy the properties that have rivers on them.
So if you're gonna be a prepper, make sure you find a property with a good stream that won't dry up, that has good elevation change, and you will be the happiest guy on your block.
Well, you'll be the happiest prepper in your crazy prepper group.
Yes. And there you go.
Yeah.